Hello dear learners, welcome back. This video will learn how we can interface RTC timer with Arduino. So let's get started. The very first question is, what is an RTC timer? So an RTC, the full form is real-time clock timer, is a specialist electronic device or module designed to keep accurate real-time data and information. So this RTC module, this offers some features. The first feature is accurate time and date keeping, tracking, and support for 12-hour, 24-hour time formats. They can find out what is the time, they can record the time as well as they can track the time. They provide battery backup for uninterrupted timekeeping, alarm functionality for event scheduling, a square wave output for generating clock signals. This also can be obtained from this module. Non-volatile memory for data and setting retention. It can store the data and the setting even if the main power supply is cut off. Temperature compensation for some specific modules. Low power consumption for extended battery life. So they are very low power consumption electronics device. Automatic switchover to backup power. And commonly this sort of RTC module are used in digital clocks, data loggers, scheduling systems, and more for accurate timekeeping. Here, two types of module I have mentioned in the slide. Other than this, there's also many other models available in the market. I have picked up these one. The first one is DS1307 model, this module, and the second one is DS1307 model. This is the module. So both of them, they provide similar functionality. If you want to differentiate them, the key difference is temperature compensation. The first one, DS3231, it has temperature compensation. That means it can provide higher accuracy over a range of temperature. Whereas this DS1307 model, it lacks temperature compensation. That's why it does not have the capability to work in a wide range of temperature. So both of them, they are providing similar functionalities other than this. Let's find out what's the pinout for these two modules. The first one we have taken here, DS3231 model. So here we can see they have 6 pins. So there are 2 pins related to VCC and ground. As VCC power, it takes 5 volt and ground is connected to the Arduino. It provides serial communication. That is why it uses SDA SCL pin, data SDA, and serial clock SCL. It provides a square output also. The 32 kilohertz output can be obtained from the first pin, and a square wave, it can be obtained from this SQW pin. So both of these pins are providing a square wave. For a special 32.768 kilohertz, the first pin is assigned. Similarly, the DS1307 module has similar pins. We have VCC ground here, SDA SCL here for serial communication, and SQW for square wave generation. It has another serial communication port, SCL SDA. So they are providing SCL SDA or serial communication port here and here. Two channel is provided here for serial communication. Now let's see how we can program this sort of module, that is RTC module, for any of our Arduino project. The programming steps are very simple and as similar to the previous modules. At very first, we need to include library. Like for RTC module, we have a popular library, that is rtclib.h. We need to include this one. The second step is initializing an RTC object. So if you are using DS1307 module, then just write RTC underscore DS1307. Then give your object name. It could be any name. Then in setup function, you need to initialize the RTC object, that is rtc.begin. This RTC is coming from here. So if you have put something else here like my RTC, then you will have to write my RTC here. Now if you want to set up your own time accordingly, you can write this sort of code like rtc.adjust, then date time in this format. Like after date time, you should first give a sequence, first year, month, date, hour, minute, second. In this way, you can also adjust the timing of the RTC module for the first time. Now let's say you want to find out what's the time. The function for that is date time space now. This is a variable now. Then rtc.now. So rtc.now, it will store the exact timing for that moment into the now variable. Then using this now, we can access all the data information to that moment, like year. Now.month will print the month value. Now.day will give the day value in similar manner. Also, you need to mention the number type or the number format like decimal. You can do that here. So that's the very basic steps. First, you need to include the library, then create the object, then in void setup you need to write rtc.begin. Finally, you can find the time using these blocks of code. So now let's jump into the OQE platform and see how we can program for RTC module. Let's start a new edge case at OQE.com. We'll first bring in the circuit components. The first component we need is Arduino, and the second component is RTC. From the search bar, we'll find RTC, and OQE is currently providing DS1307 module. So we have already learned the pinout of this module. The first pin, you need to connect it to ground. Then comes a 5 volt. Let's connect the 5 volt to 5 volt of Arduino. Then we have SDA, SCL. You can use both these two couple of pin. This one is A4 and A5 used for serial communication, or A4, A5 from here. So we'll use the closer one. So SDA, we'll connect it to A4. SCL, we'll connect it to A5. These are basically used for serial communication. So hardware configuration is done for now. Let's see how we can configure the programming. The first step in programming is including the library. Let's do that. Include rtc lib.h. So this is a library for RTC module. We'll just include this here. And from library manager, we'll also pick that library, RTC. So if you find down here, you'll find this DST-RTC. This is the one. So RTC lib, this is what you need for this our program. You can delete this one also. Now let's see if the library has properly connected or not. Just run the simulation. Okay, no error. That means our library is properly connected. Okay. Now let's define the object for RTC. To do that, you need to write RTC underscore your model name. Our RTC module model name is DS1307. So that is why we will write 1307. And then you need to provide your object name. For now, let's say RTC. This is the name of our object. This is all for the definition of object. Now in the void setup, you need to complete the third step, is initializing the RTC object. So let's do that using rtc.begin. This will initialize the RTC object that we have just created. Now let's come to the final stage, that is printing your data. So here's the data type called date time. After that, you need to assign any of your variable, let's say time. Now we'll use rtc.now function to store the current time at the time variable. Now we can access the time using following lines. To print the data, we will use serial communication, that is serial monitor. You can also use external printing device like LCD module, dot matrix display, or 7-segment module. For now, to avoid complexity, we will use serial monitor. Let's initialize the serial monitor first, serial.begin with 9600 baud rate. For printing the time, we'll first print a message like serial.print the time is, then we'll print the current date and current time. So let's print the date first, serial.print. Within the bracket, we need to write time.d. They will find the date. Then we can print the value at decimal value. After that, we can put a dash or clone, serial.print and a clone. Let's say after day, we want to print the month, year. Then with a space, we want to print the hour. So I have completed other codes also. First, we have printed the date, that is using time.day. After that, we have printed a clone. Followed by the clone, the month will be printed, then again a clone and the year. After that, we have used a horizontal tab. Next comes the hour, minute, second. Finally, for next line printing, we have used serial.println, or also you can use escape sequence like /n. So this is all for the block that will print the date and hour together. Let's see if the simulation works. Now we can see the time is today, the time we are working on this project, it's 8 November 2023. So the date is coming as it is. Also the time is 12 hours 33 minutes and 37 seconds. So this is how we can use RTC module to design a code for a clock or something like that. Wherever you are working for time-based operation, you can use similar codes. If you are looking for some projects like creating alarm or creating schedule-based task, you can use RTC library for that also. And for that, you will have to use timer interrupts. I will not discuss that in this video. So I think that's all for this video. You got the basic idea how to interface the RTC module. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.